Hello, everybody. How you doing? Today is Saturday. It's Hope you've enjoyed your Thanksgiving, and I hope you're preparing to, or you're prepared at this time to go into the new year. So I just wanted to talk about something. Um, Sometimes in my conversations, my daily conversations with people, sometimes it moves me to make these videos. It's sort of impromptu. However, it is truth. I want to talk about the religious system, and uh, you know, I grew up in it. It affected a lot of my life. I spent a great deal of my life in that system that uh, somehow or another that did not protect me when it was time to be protected. Hold on, I'm trying to get this together. One quick second here. That didn't protect me, and it doesn't protect a lot of people. And we're coming to the close of a year, going into a new year. And I think it's vitally important to set boundaries and to sort of rethink some things and to be critical and to be a critical thinker. That's very important. And what I've noticed that people, uh, they don't question anything, especially if it goes against your old belief system. And they don't do their homework and they just take everything at face value. And one of the things about religion, a lot of times, is it doesn't, that system doesn't want you to think for yourself. You can't be a free thinker. If you think differently from what they teach, then you become an outcast or you're frowned upon. And I want to tell you that it's okay to question everything. It's okay to question your belief system. It's okay to question that system that you were taught from a child because maybe what worked then it's not working now. I can tell you that for a fact. And so for some reason these systems come to control you, it comes to manipulate you, it sometimes bamboozle you, and it depends on when you got started. If you were a child and they come after you when you're young because you're easily impressed. And then some adults who are not critical thinkers and they don't research anything, and they have that childhood mind where they won't question anything, and then they won't read, they won't search out anything, they just believe whatever somebody tells them. And it could go against your moral compass, and something should always like be in you saying, hey, question this. And how did this come about? I remember when I was a young boy, or young, really, really young, I used to wonder, how did people get here? Because, reading the text says in the beginning was, you know, this, that, and the other, and it was Adam and Eve. And it's like, did they also, I mean, like what happened? They slept with each other and then the children slept with each other. I questioned stuff when I was younger, and nobody could really give me answers. Nobody. It's like, okay, so how did we all get here? Well, so we're told God created Adam and Eve, and then hey Joy, they produced children. Okay, so how did the other children get here? Those are the kind of questions I used to ask. So it was incest. How did they have children if they all started out as a family? Right? So we have to question some things, and sometimes people refuse to think differently because they don't want to challenge. They don't want to really. They're lazy mentally. They're lazy. They don't want to try to figure this thing out, and they don't want to. They rather continue to believe erroneous teachings or something that makes them feel comfortable because it's too uncomfortable to challenge what you have always been taught. And we should challenge that, challenge your belief system, question why do you believe what you believe. Most of it is we were taught to believe certain ways, and that's not even your own belief system. You believe what you believe as a child because somebody taught you to believe it. Did you ever consider and take the time to go back and question your teachings, um, and question that? So it's important. And religious, those dark religious system comes, not all, but That system comes to control your mind, keep you from being a free thinker. You, if you don't look like us and you don't sound like us, then you can't be a part of us. And I just don't believe that's the way it was meant to be. Growing up, I've something I saw growing up in church as a teenager. I I didn't know what to call it then, but I heard this dogmatic preaching, this dogma, and it was a lot. Come out from amongst them, be ye separated. So, and they even tell you to separate from your family. If they didn't believe like you believe, what makes you think? Because see, first of all, Christianity is not the oldest belief system. Understand that. So you have to ask, well, before Christianity, what happened to them and what was their belief system? So we have to be critical thinkers and start questioning things, not because it's comfortable. You stay like you are because you're comfortable with your teachings, or you don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I think we need to ruffle some feathers because some of the garbage that we were taught, it just spun off into a lot of things. Women can't wear pants. You can't do this. You can't wear jewelry. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about that. But something that I saw, um, in particular, one of the things I remember, um, people have allowed, growing up, they have allowed the leadership to basically tear them apart from their families. Holidays, you spend time with us, you don't spend time with your family. If they want to spend time with you, then they'll come to church with you on holidays. It was never this building up a family. And I believe the strongest institution that was put in place is family, not the church. Family is first. I believe family is the strongest institution. And this is why I believe so many families are broken up. Marriages don't last because they place it's not in an order. They place in other things, people, places, and belief systems ahead of their relationship. So I remember thinking, man, I would see these people that were married and they didn't really spend time together, with the exception of being in church together. But they weren't encouraged to live outside of that system. Um, and I believe that's where we get all of the chaos within families because you've put a system over your love for the person or spending time. If the only time you spend together is in a religious setting, you don't have a good relationship. If you don't go outside of that and you spend all of your time together in this setting, uh, I just believe your relationship is doomed because you've allowed this system to control your whole life when it was never meant to control your life. I believe in principle teachings. I do believe in that some principles we should live by. But I also believe that what you were taught 30 years ago, you need to go back and see what changed and challenge that. Oh, yeah, I know you said God is God that changes not, but he doesn't change. He is who he is, or spirit is what spirit is, right? So I believe you should always go back and challenge that belief system. And on top of that, we should incorporate people around us that believe differently. See, that system says don't do that because you become confused. Really, the system was saying don't do that because you may find another way out. And by what we're teaching you, um, it is to control you, and we might lose control of you if you learn a different way or different route. And so I think it's important. But what I've seen parents inside the church in this system turn against their children if their children didn't come to church or didn't believe a certain way that they believed, or they lived a certain way that the parent were against only because the pastor taught them to be against that, and they should love their children. And it's important that you love your children regardless. You may not agree with what they're doing, and then you have to ask the question, why don't I agree with them? Is it because of what I was taught, or is it because these are my true feelings that I don't agree with what the decisions that my children have made or the way that they're living? Because one, you can't control anybody, and that's what that system teaches you, is to control what the system itself try to control every part of your life. And when you are a part of something that is controlling, that alone is demoniacal, because we weren't meant to be controlled at all. Not even God, the creator, tries to control you. Set a certain guidelines out, tell us certain things, and it's not to control you. So when you have systems, religious system tells you to turn against your children because maybe they're doing something that you were taught was wrong, where is the love? Like, how do you teach love, but you can't live love? Or they'll say, "Oh, I love you, but I hate the sin." Well, start out by hating the sin in your own life by not loving your children, because that's a sin. I believe it's you miss the mark when you cannot show love to your children based on their decision. You have to love them. Can you imagine? We say God loves us unconditionally. Why can't you love your children unconditionally? Why do you let a system tell you to mistreat your children because, or detach from them? It's not even human for a parent to disconnect from their child just because they can't control them with their belief system. And I saw that growing up in these systems where they were, in particular, I remember, I can talk about a lot of things, but I'm going to talk about this and more, just in particular. Um, I remember the there was a parent who had a child who was homosexual or is homosexual, right? And so the parent tried to appease and please the pastor by showing a hardness against their child and not really dealing with their own child in fear of what that leader might say or the belief system. It is just it's so confusing that you could teach love, but you can't show love. You can teach love because that's your child, or those are your children, regardless. You don't hate them because, and there's this little um, dogma that's being taught where if you embrace them, you accepted them. No, 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 no. Or you accepting what they do and you agreeing with what they do. No, that's not the case. You have to love people for who they are. I'd rather love you for who you are than to love you for who you've pretended to be, right? So I remember this parent was really against her child and wouldn't show any love towards her child. She was always fussing at this. I mean, it was an adult, but still her child. You know how you parents, I had a mother, and I don't care how old you get, you still their child and you have to love them. But I remember this particular case wherein they didn't really have anything to do with their child, and the child started hating the church because they felt like the church turned their parent against them because maybe they didn't make a decision, and they're not living the way the parent wanted them to live. See, when you start trying to control how somebody's living, that's a dark, evil system. You can't control that. How another grown person going to control that? So for years and years, this person felt rejected and neglected because the mother couldn't be expressive and show love. They were always, against the child based on their teaching. But at the end, the same child that they hated or they didn't embrace or they didn't show love, or the same child that they fussed at, and because of their sacrilegiousness, they were sacrilegious, they were whatever that system is. And so when the parents got sick, guess who had to come take care of them? Yeah, that child that they didn't embrace, that child that the church taught the parents, anything that teaches you to hate, ah, you should probably get out of that. Any system that teaches you that if you don't look like us, walk like us, talk like us, dress like us, then you're not of us, and you're not you don't deserve love, you don't deserve respect, then you probably want to leave that place. And it may feel uncomfortable because you've been a part of it for so long. And so that system doesn't protect you. What that system does protect is wrongdoings. I've seen it in my own case. I've seen the system protect and cover up for the molester, or they cover up for the husband that's abusive, or they make excuses for and they cover up for the husband that's sleeping with other people's wives in the church, or they cover up for the pastor that has a wife and a boyfriend secretly on the side. They cover up for that leader. They become angry and they'll fight you about you calling that out, that they could get up and bash something publicly that they're doing privately. Yeah, not only is that armor bearer, that's not, you said that's your armor bearer, but he's bearing arms somewhere else in the nighttime. Oh, that's your secretary, excuse me, your secretary. And they cover for those kinds of people, but they leave the abused out. They make them feel like somehow it was their fault. The person that got molested there make them feel like, well, something must be wrong with you. But they won't ever, that system, that dark, evil system, won't ever protect you. They won't protect the people and situations that need to be protected. For somehow, for some reason or another, people seem to protect the violators. They seem to run to the rescue of those who have wronged so many people. And that system is dark. And this is the system that you give your time to. This is the system you've given your life to. This is the system that you've paid into. This is the system that you support. But when you need to be covered, you need to be counseled, you need to be protected. That same system that you invested in doesn't have any investments in you. They're not invested in your mental health. They're not invested in your character building. They're not invested in your, well, financially. They want your finances, but they're not going to help you with that. So I just want to talk about that system because that system is not fair. And if you find yourself a part of these systems, then you need to pull away from that, regardless of how long you've been a part of it and how uncomfortable you may find yourself, because this is what you're accustomed to. You know it's wrong, but for some reason you can't seem to leave it because this is all you know. Well, let me say this to you: go learn something different. Pull away from that. If your system protect rapists and murderers and molesters and wrongdoers, and don't protect the molested, don't protect the person that was done wrong, don't protect the person that was injured, this system has become very injurious. I watch people protect darkness, but they claim they're for what's right. I've known of people who will love you allegedly as long as you are doing what they want you to do. But the moment you step out of line of their belief system, they turn against you. So you have to ask, did you really love me for real? Like unconditionally, or you love me because I was doing everything you told me to do? And there are people who will pretend to love you and pretend to care for you. These systems are set up to make you feel like you're a part of something. And when you need it, it gets ghost on you. When you need the system to protect you, the system that you've always supported and grew up in, when you need that system to protect you, that system is not available. They will protect the people who did you wrong. You see? So that's what I know about the system. It comes to control you, manipulate. And if you can find a place, a space, a group of people that don't need you for anything, because they don't have no reason to try to manipulate you, then that's where you need to be. You have to find your own tribe. It is very important that you find your tribe and stop being like everybody else. And just because you were taught something doesn't make it right. Just because you've always heard it this way doesn't make it right. Challenge your belief system. Come on. Protect people that need to be protected. So this parent had to depend on the child that they mistreated for years to take care of them. See, the very people that you tend to mistreat are the people that you're going to need on your way out. And then your pride jumps in the way. Your pride gets involved. And now on your deathbed, you're saying you're sorry. It's okay. Those of you that have dealt with injustice and been mishandled in these systems, I would like to say to you, you're going to get through this. You're going to make it. And it's okay to break down and cry. It's okay to reach out to other systems to try to help you. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel betrayed. It's okay to feel let down. The system that you depended on so much to lift you up because you thought because you lifted that system up that the system was going to lift you up and protect you when it was time to be protected. And so now you have a great exodus. People have exited these systems, exited these. There's an exodus happening, and it's been happening for years. People are leaving the church, leaving that system, and then people say you don't leave God. God is not the church, and the church is not God. All right. So you're not leaving God because you leave a system or you leave a church, and they'll try to make you feel a certain, like manipulate your emotions and control that because they want you sitting there because you look good sitting there. Now they're not going to protect you. They're not they're not interested in investing in your well-being. They're not interested in your mental health. They just, you look good as a number. It's like a picture on the wall. You look good in that place, but they're not interested in protecting you. No, it's just, it's for their benefit. And this is why um, people can drop you like a hot potato because if you got all the investments in it, if you are the greatest investor in your relationships, in your situations, then the person that has no investment in you is easy to drop you. This is why when you don't do what they tell you to do, they leave you to hang for dry. And so it's okay to leave those spaces and places that doesn't protect you. It's okay, whether it's in your home, a parent, because sometimes children, they're not protected by their own parents, and they should be. Parents take the words of their boyfriend or their husband over that child. That child comes to you and say, "Hey, I've been molested. This person touched me the wrong way. This person," and you got to be able to listen to that child and not be so quick to say you lying or what did you do, or now this child feels somewhat rejected because they feel like you put that person or their words of that person over them. Now they feel like their words have no value, so now they shut down and they suppress their feelings. Now, as they get older, they blow up. It explodes because they've been having these feelings for so long, and they're hurt. They feel betrayed. They feel let down and left out and hung out to dry because when they tried to tell what happened to them, then somebody didn't believe them, and now you got people holding on to their stories, and now you got people that are going to the grave with their stories unwritten, untold, unsung, because somebody told them to shut it down. It's not right. And if you've been a part of those systems and you're a part of that system, listen, take your ducks and move them to another pond because they're not there to protect you. And they'll try to make you feel, they keep from losing you. They're trying to make you feel like you're important. But if they don't protect you, they don't love you because love protects. Love will protect, and they will protect the person who's been injured. You don't protect the violators. You report the violators. And I've seen violators try to report other violators. You see them all on YouTube. They've done the same thing they've been reporting about. It's psychotic to me. Very psychotic. So you don't have to stay in those places and spaces that doesn't serve you. And if they're not serving love, and love protects, and if they're not protecting you, they don't love you. They're not invested in your higher self. They're not invested in your well-being. They're not invested in your mental health. See? Yep. So it's okay. We're at the end of the year. It's 2024. We're coming to the close of the year. You don't have to continue in those spaces and places where when love is not served at the table, you get up and you leave. It could be even with your family because a lot of people have suffered and they're suffering from things that was done to them in their family, their uncles, some of them their fathers, cousins, brothers, sisters, violated them. And you have to pretend and show up to these family reunions and these settings, and it's undealt with. You never confronted them because you're afraid of what people are going to say, or it's been so long now. I might as well not bring it up. But that is what's been affecting your relationships. That's why your relationships are failing, because you refuse to confront something that needs to be changed. And don't let anyone tell you that confrontation is bad. Confrontation is, I want clarity. Let's talk about this. Let's hash this out, right? People that are weak don't want confrontation. They don't want conversation. They don't want adult conversations. You got to have these hard talks and a hard conversation. It was very difficult for me for a long time to talk about me being injured by George Bloomer. By me being violated by George Bloomer. It took years, but when I got tired of when I got tired of the chaos within, when I got tired of not breathing, when I got tired of not expressing, when I got tired of the depression, I had to talk about it. Oh, people got angry. They became angry. I didn't tell you my story so you can believe it. I told it so I can get it out of me. I'm not here to prove anything to, um, you know, the naysayers. I felt better. So when you become expressive, because I believe expression is a very high form of nutrition, you become better. Now you're gonna have all types of emotions. Talk about it, write about it. That's what we're doing. You need to help somebody else, and I want to help you. If you've experienced those types of things in these systems, or in your home, or in at your job, let's talk about it. We're not here to beat anybody down. We're here to tell our story. Just because we tell our story doesn't mean we are trying to badmouth anybody. See, that system says, "Oh, you shouldn't say nothing about it. Look how long it's been." Well, look how long that person has been suffering. Look how long that person has been silent. And there are people who don't want you to talk about it because they violated people themselves. They violated other people, and they're afraid that other people that they violated will hear your voice and will empower you to talk about some of these things. You see? All right, I have to go. Y'all, please have a great day. Let's not go into this new year suppressing stuff, depressed, become more expressive, and talk about the things that need to be talked about. Have adult conversations with the people that are ready to have adult conversations. When they're not ready, you can't really talk to them, and then you can't talk to a liar. You can't come to the table to share truth to a liar, because the liar lie about what y'all talked about. If they're not willing to come to the table and say, let's lay it out. This is what happened. This is where I was in my life. This is how it is. Let's talk about it. How do we move forward from there? All right. Please, y'all have a great day.